is moving further away from international cooperation. The situation escalated quickly. Shortly after the parliamentarian debate, the European Parliament overwhelmingly adopted a resolution criticizing Burkina Faso's human rights record, shrinking civil space, restriction on freedom, and deteriorating security situation. Supporters of Burkina Faso viewed this as further evidence that Europe was increasingly pressured on the country's government rather than seeking constructive dialogue. Now, that happened on 17th of June. On the 18th of June, the parliament adopted a new resolution. It was 476 people in favor against 75 abstention. Supporters of President Ibrahim Traoré argued that many of the accusations made by the European Parliament ignored the country's security challenges and the reasons behind the government's actions. One major criticism was that Burkina Faso has weakened civil society organizations. However, authorities maintained that concerns arose after investigations suggested that some organizations operating in the country were receiving financial backing from European sources. From the government's perspective, accepting foreign funding while the country is attempting to reduce outside influence raises serious questions about loyalty and national security. The same argument extends to several non-governmental organizations (NGOs) that were suspended or dissolved. Officials insist that these actions were not simply aimed at silencing humanitarian groups. Instead, they claim certain organizations were gathering sensitive information, including military position, government involvement, and strategic locations, before transmitting that information abroad. If organizations presented as humanitarian actors are involved in intelligence gathering, the government argues they become a security threat rather than neutral aid providers. Another major point of criticism involved press freedom. Opponents accuse the government of suppressing independent journalism and limiting freedom of expression. Supporters of Traoré acknowledge that some journalists face government action, but argue that this issue was more complicated than censorship alone. One example frequently discussed involved journalists who publicly claimed that the country's war against terrorist groups was exaggerated or even fabricated. The government responded by sending some of those journalists to comfort zone, arguing that anyone denying the reality of the violence should witness conditions firsthand before making public statements. Supporters view this as forcing journalists to confront facts on the ground, while critics considered it intimidation.
I saw the loot this